The sirens are blaring. France is preparing for war. This is not a drill. This is not a rumor. This is Europe standing at the edge of a dark and dangerous cliff, and now even France is bracing for the fall. For the first time in decades, the French government is preparing for full-scale war. Hospitals across the country have been ordered to reinforce emergency rooms, train medical staff for battlefield trauma, and be ready to receive not just French casualties, but wounded NATO soldiers from across Europe. The deadline, March 2026. Let that sink in. A specific timeline, a specific threat, a specific enemy. France is not doing this because they feel like running war games. They are doing this because they expect something very real, and the name they're preparing for is Russia. What do you think about this? Where are you watching from? Tell us in the comments. Your region, your thoughts, your warning signs. This is not just France. Britain is secretly rebuilding its military. Norway is reopening Cold War bunkers buried deep in the mountains. The Baltics are training their youth for combat. And across Europe, there's a quiet but relentless beat, the rhythm of war drums getting louder by the day. Why Russia? Why now? Why would a country, already drained by the Ukraine war, want to go head-to-head with the largest military alliance on Earth? Because to understand Russia's motives, you need to stop thinking in logic and start thinking in legacy, humiliation, and power. For Vladimir Putin, this isn't just politics. It's personal. This is about reclaiming what he believes was stolen, not just Ukraine, but Russia's place in the world. He doesn't want to rebuild the Soviet Union. That chapter is closed. What he wants is older, deeper, more imperial. He wants the Russian Empire back, an empire that once stretched across Ukraine, Poland, Finland, and much of Eastern Europe. To Putin, NATO's expansion is not a threat. It's an insult. It's a red line burning across a map that once belonged to Moscow. And every new NATO member? A dagger closer to the Kremlin's heart. How do you feel hearing this? Be honest, even if it's bitter. Comment below and let us know your take. Ukraine was never the endgame. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, many thought it was about territory. But if you were paying attention, you saw the real story brewing months before the tanks rolled in. In late 2021, U.S. intelligence warned that a full-scale invasion was inevitable. By December, Russia issued demands to the West. No NATO troops in Eastern Europe. No NATO membership for Ukraine. The West refused. And the fuse was lit. Putin believed that if he shocked the world with force, the West would back off. He thought that Ukraine would crumble and NATO would fracture. He thought wrong. Instead, the war unified NATO, expanded it, and pushed its borders even closer. Finland joined in 2023, Sweden in 2024, and just like that, Russia's land border with NATO more than doubled, from 1,200 kilometers to nearly 2,600 kilometers. From Moscow's point of view, this is not strategy. It's strangulation. The new arms race. But here's the twist. Russia is not retreating. It's reloading. In 2025, Russia announced the largest military expansion since the Cold War. The goal, 2.39 million total personnel. That includes 1.5 million active troops, a massive increase from current levels. They've raised the draft age from 27 to 30. They're calling up 160,000 new conscripts this spring alone. Not just with paper notices, but with digital summons through state portals. Young Russians are fleeing the draft. Many are applying for civil service alternatives, but the system is tightening. Every draft is a new lottery, and someone's number always comes up. They're even recruiting contract soldiers from abroad. According to reports, North Korean fighters may soon join Russian ranks. Do you believe the West is prepared for this, or are we sleepwalking into something far bigger? Leave your thoughts below. We want to hear from you. The numbers don't lie. Let's talk cold, hard numbers. NATO's combined defense budget, 2024. $1.45 trillion Russia's defense budget, $140 billion. That's less than 15% of NATO's total. NATO can field 3.3 million troops, including 40,000 elite rapid response soldiers. Russia? Around 800,000 active troops, many of them exhausted from years of combat in Ukraine. And yet, despite massive losses, Over 100,000 confirmed Russian soldiers killed, and likely far more. Putin is tripling down. Because for the Kremlin, this isn't just war. This is strategy by exhaustion. Drain the West. Bleed NATO slowly. Buy time to rebuild. Stretch the Ukraine war until NATO's public loses interest, until elections shift support, until divisions crack open inside Europe and the US. An economy turned toward war. Putin isn't just militarizing the army. He's militarizing the entire Russian economy. In 2025, Russia's defense and security spending hit 41.5 trillion rubles, making up 40% of the national budget. At the same time, social spending is being slashed by 16%. Hospitals, schools, welfare, all sacrificed for tanks, missiles, and conscripts. New divisions are forming across the Western Front, especially near NATO borders. In Karelia, close to Finland, the Kremlin has created a new 44th Army Corps. And it's not just manpower. Russia is rebuilding its artillery, tanks, and even its nuclear submarine fleet. It's expanding cyber operations, launching gray zone attacks, and testing NATO's limits with every passing month. If this shocked you, share this video. Let the world see what's coming. Because silence now will cost lives later. The window is closing. According to Western intelligence, Russia could restore full pre-2022 military strength by 2026 or 2027. And by 2030-2035, it could field the largest army in modern Russian history, if the West allows it. Even after devastating losses in the Black Sea, Russia's northern and Baltic fleets remain intact. Armed with nuclear cruise missile submarines, Kaliber missiles, and amphibious assault craft, they can strike deep into Europe within hours. And what's NATO's response? For now, it's more troops, more bases, more deterrence. But is it enough? Final question, are you ready? This is not about Ukraine anymore. It's about what kind of world we're heading toward. A world where war is no longer theory, where young people across Europe grow up preparing not for college, but for conflict. They said the Cold War was over. They were wrong. Something is moving in the shadows, massive, silent, and dangerous. Deep inside the Russian Federation, far from the public eye, construction crews are working around the clock. Not on hospitals, not on homes, but on missile silos, weapons factories, underground bunkers, 5 secret military sites, billions in funding, and one goal: war readiness. For 30 years, Russia's missile complex stood quiet, a relic of the Soviet Union. But since 2023, the Kremlin has reignited the machine. Dormant facilities are roaring back to life. New ones are being built from scratch. This isn't modernization. It's militarization. But the real question is why now? And what exactly is Russia preparing for? Solid fuel, cold logic, hot war. Russia isn't just building rockets. It's building solid propellant missile systems, the backbone of its tactical and nuclear arsenal. These aren't fireworks. These are war drums. Short-range ballistic missiles like the Iskander-M, the same ones raining down on Ukraine. Multi-launch rocket systems like Tornado-S. Surface-to-air defenses like the S-400. Weapons capable of downing aircraft or striking deep into enemy territory. But here's the real nightmare. The same solid fuel technology powers Russia's intercontinental ballistic missiles and submarine-launched nukes. These are first-strike weapons, designed to launch fast, hit hard, and leave no time for diplomacy. Make no mistake, this is not posturing. This is prelude. What do you think Russia is really preparing for? A regional war? Or something much, much bigger? Tell us in the comments. We want to hear from every corner, especially yours. Right where you're watching from. A new axis is rising, and Russia isn't standing alone. It's building an alliance, not with words, but with weapons. China, Iran, North Korea. 3 regimes with 3 things in common: secrecy, strength, and a seething grudge against the West. China signs a no-limits partnership with Moscow just days before the invasion of Ukraine. Iran floods Russia with combat drones, missiles, and military intelligence. North Korea, cut off from the world, sends millions of artillery shells and negotiates to send manpower next. This isn't a theory. This is a geopolitical axis forming in real time. Former U.S. National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski warned about this 30 years ago. A grand coalition of Russia, China, and Iran. United not by ideology, but by grievance. That prophecy is unfolding now. Does the West even understand what it's up against? Or are we still asleep at the wheel? If you believe the world needs to wake up, share this video. Sound the alarm. The Arctic Front. Russia's icy ambition. While Europe watches Ukraine, Russia watches the Arctic. Its 2022 naval doctrine outlines an aggressive plan. Full control of Arctic shipping routes, choke points, and undersea resources. That includes Greenland's vast deposits of rare earth minerals, the lifeblood of next-gen weapons, semiconductors, and electric warfare. And while Moscow may hesitate to provoke the U.S. directly, it is far more likely to challenge European NATO states, Poland, Norway, the Baltics. These are the pressure points, and Russia knows where to push. Western intelligence is unanimous. If the Ukraine war ends, another one could begin within a year. Poland, Finland, Norway, all on the front line. Europe's price tag for peace, $4.2 trillion. The cost of readiness is staggering. NATO has pledged to spend 5% of GDP annually on defense by 2035. That's $2.7 trillion in new spending, the largest military buildup on the continent since the Second World War. To put it plainly, Germany, France, and Italy will spend more on tanks and jets than on their children's education. 9 countries on Earth currently spend 5% of GDP on defense. Most are autocracies. For democracies, with budget votes, social priorities, and aging populations, this is uncharted territory. Do you think your country is ready to make this trade-off? Military power or domestic peace? Share your opinion below. We read every comment. Conscription returns. So does fear. Across Europe, civilian life is blending with military life. Germany is bringing back selective conscription. Starting 2027, young men will be required to complete a national questionnaire to assess their combat readiness. France is doubling its reservists,